Hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 16th day of May, 2024. Well, let's go ahead and get started here and draw a rune from the Elder Futhark bag. That's going to be our as above side of things, or higher self side of things for the significators here. The significator is just a fancy word of saying overall purpose of the reading, basically. And if you just do a tarot reading, you can choose one. Say for the querent, you could choose a court card, for example, that represents the querent. If it's an older woman, you might choose the queen. A younger girl, you would choose the princess or page, whichever deck your type of deck you're using. Some of the decks use different terminology for some of this, and they even rename some of the major arcana cards, and so it just depends on the deck you're using what it's called. But in any event, we have Hagalaz to start us out. Now, Hagalaz is one of the runes that's considered a Norn rune. And so Hagalaz, losing my voice already. Hagalaz is the ninth rune of the Elder Futhark, and it's essentially the witch rune. Sometimes some people consider it the Norn rune of the past, whereas Nathis would be for the future and Isa would be for the present moment. But I view the Norn runes as having more power in the Elder Futhark than the other ones, simply because the Norns are reportedly the giantesses. There's rumored to be giants. One piece of lore talks about them that way, and but let's just view them as either witches or just spirit beings that come and give Odin, as he's hanging upside down from the world tree, enlightenment. So they give him the runes. And so the runes are essentially I view them both as a language of spirit, but also they're a language. But they're a wonderful divination tool, and so I like to open the readings with those, since I like to work with runes. But anyway, but Hagalaz is really about destruction within a fixed framework, within boundaries, and so there's change within boundaries. It's not everything gets like throwing the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. It's which is a weird thing. I know that from my childhood. Oh, you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. In other words, don't get rid of everything. So your values stay in place, maybe, or the structure of something you're working on, but maybe you make some major changes within it. Is the kind of idea with destruction within established boundaries. It means the hail. So you get all of this destruction, and then the hail vanishes, and it's gone, but the change is there, the massive change, especially if it's big hail. But it's considered the celestial ice egg. It's also, so there's a sense of beginnings there. This is about protection, luck. It can be used in trance work. You can visualize it to enter through Hagalaz, just enter through the doorway, basically, here that's created when you do trance work or journeying work. But so at this point, we know some transformation is going to take place today. Let's go ahead and I'll do the lower side, the below side, with the Geomancy runes. I'm going to throw down the 4 elemental runes, and then I'll put them in the order of fire, air, water, and earth to discover what our rune is here today. Oh, well, it's Puella or Puea, however you want to say it. Puella is the complement of Pur. And Pur would be this one, the little boy energy, and this is little girl energy. It's not, it's fortunate, but not too fortunate. It's a positive rune, so I mean, it portends good fortune. So whatever the transformation that takes place today is going to be a fortunate thing. The other aspect of Puella is superficiality. Now, that doesn't have to mean a really bad thing. When you say somebody's really superficial, it's like, oh, well, I don't trust that person because you don't really know who they are, right? That's not the kind of energy that it is for Puella. Being a little girl rune, this is the idea. I've said this before. It would be like my granddaughter running through the pasture on their property, chasing after a butterfly or something, and being curious about everything. So there's not this solid focus. It's more superficial focus. And so she's very curious, looking here, there, and everywhere. I was a Puella growing up. And so So it's not, when it's superficial, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you're not really getting down into the nitty gritty about it all. And so maybe the transformation has to do with how focused you are today. And so let's just leave it at that for just a moment. And then we'll do the cards here real quick and see what they are, and see if we need to maybe adjust our view of what the runes are saying here. But the transformation may be, in terms of either becoming more lighthearted about things and becoming more curious, or maybe simply becoming more focused. So on either end of the spectrum there, I think it could be. But we won't know until we have the details, and the cards are going to provide that. So I'm going to take 3 from the bottom of the deck. I'm going to cut the deck, and I'll take 3 from the lower half. And we'll see where we go from there. I have 1 from the court, the Knight of Swords, so that we got an air element there. We have 1 from Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles, and then we have the World. So there's a sense of endings and completion with both the 10 and the World. But it's interesting, we have 1 card from each grouping. 1 from the court, which is the minor arcana still, but still it's a separate thing, right? The court cards are just their own thing, but they're part of the minor arcana. And then the 10 of Pentacles, of course, is from the minor arcana. So we've got this air element and the earth element here. And then we have the major arcana card, the World. But the 10 and the World comes at the end of the major arcana, and the 10 comes at the end of the suits, the different suits each 10 card does. In this case, Pentacles. So I guess what I want to do here first is let's do the numerologies before I forget, because I'm going to forget that. Hagala, as we said, was the 9th rune, so 9 plus. There's no number associated with the court, any of the court cards. So nothing there. We have a 10 here for the 10, and then we have a 21, which comes out to 40. 4 plus 0 is 4, so we have a 4 numerology for the whole reading. And let me put that up here so I don't lose that. Okay. 4 is about structure and foundation and grounding. It's about responsibility and hard work and all of that. Very earthy type of a number. So something again with the structure. And when you look at Hagala's being, change within boundaries, then your basic structure is going to still be what it is. It's just you may learn to transform how you do some of the things you do, how you look at things, and are you going to look at them superficially and kind of be here, there, and a little scattered focus, or are you going to focus in? Is that going to be the major change here? I think with the Knight of Swords, in a sense, you're going to have to, because things are happening here pretty quickly. You see the Knight of Swords. Swords, again, is the air element. So you see the sword is raised high, almost like he's moving the clouds aside for his own purpose in a way. You see he's riding against the wind. You can see the wind blowing the trees this way, and so he's riding against the wind. So as he pursues what he needs to pursue, he's battle hardy. This is involving swift action, courage, integrity. He accepts challenges, but at the same time, there's this feeling of and a riding against the wind would be the challenge, wouldn't it? Your forces that are riding against you, and he's ready to take on whatever he needs to take on, but that takes a certain kind of focus, doesn't it? You can't be just, hanging around and looking at everything and being excited about all the things you're seeing. You got to focus in. So I think we know the direction then of the change that needs to happen here with Hagalas today, is being able to focus in and deal with the things you need to deal with in a way that is pressing on and moving forward and meeting the challenge ahead, with integrity and dignity and eagerness and courage. Because, trying to change how you do things can be very difficult, right? And I need some tea. The pollen is crazy, crazy outside. And I was overcome. I was in the house last night and I was overcome by it. It's like, why is this happening in my house? But my husband had been outside changing the water, the irrigation water, and so he came back in, and I think he must have brought something in with him when the door opened or on him or whatever, and I'm breathing it in and just I couldn't breathe. It was awful. So anyway, it goes right for my throat. Anyhow, so again, the transformation that needs to take place here is that in terms of an opportunity that comes your way, you have to meet it in a way that may require swift action. So a decision that happens swiftly, but the idea again, still grounded in reality, grounded in reason, grounded in what still preserves your boundaries that you've established. It's just that you need to focus in and be aware and be ready for something to happen here today. Where again, a shift in focus is going to be needed. One from scattered to one that's more, actually intense. Because when you do, here you have the Ten of Pentacles. You see an older man. Well, first you see the tree of life here as depicted by the pentacles. You've moved through all of it, basically. There's a sense of endings and completion with the 10. Also new beginnings. 10 reduces to 1, so that's new beginnings. So whereas in the past maybe you didn't focus in real well, maybe at some point something happened that made you realize you needed to do that, and when you do, here's the transfer of legacy that you have. His family has come to visit him. You see either the rest of his castle, so this is probably the king, although there's no crown, and you don't see crowns on either of these, so this may be but it's so ornate here, and this archway that you're seeing here, you see the family crests and all of that on it. So you see his dogs here by his side. You see all of his abundance. You see the grapes down here. That indicates abundance. He's got a quilt over him, it looks like, or a cape or some kind of drape over him that seems to tell a story. And could it be the story of his life, basically? So in a sense, there's the end of one phase and the beginning of another. This could be him passing the torch on to these two here, whichever one is his maybe both of them are his children, or maybe because there's a child over here holding on to the woman, so this could be maybe his son and daughter-in-law, or vice versa. But his family's come to visit. You see the passage with the archway here. This is a sense of passage. They're sort of it's hard to see if they're on this side of it or on the other side, or just moving into the other side of it. So there could be a passage of legacy, all that he's created, all that he's built over the years, that when you buckle down and you take your responsibilities seriously, from there you create something really wonderful, some legacy to pass on to others. And so I've always interpreted the Ten of Pentacles as a passage of legacy. All that you've built, all the abundance you've gained, you're passing the torch on to someone else younger than yourself. So it's like inheritance in a way. This is a very Othala type of a card. Othala being the 24th rune of the Elder Futhark, which talks about that, about possessions and inheritance and legacy, and other things as well, prosperity. But there's just this feeling of moving through it all with the entire tree of life visible here. They've gone through, I think it's this way. Well, anyway, whichever way it goes backwards from the way I would normally look at it. So, oh, that's interesting. The first time I ever saw that. And I don't have that in here. It's out in the living room, a rendition of the Tree of Life from the Kabbalah. But Google it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But they're all the stages that the soul goes through in form, essentially. All the spiritual stages one goes through. And so when I see this here, to me that means there's a passage of legacy. Something's coming to an end that you've helped to create with the Knight of Swords. You've taken it seriously. You've understood the importance of it, the significance of it. And instead of having your focus being all scattered, you're narrowing it down. The vision is narrowing down so that you buckle down and you make something of the opportunity that's come your way. That transformation within that takes place that makes you understand that there's more to what you're doing than simply for yourself, that there's a sense of doing it for others. The same with the knight itself. There's something that they're not, it's not the page or the princess, it's not the student, but this is somebody who's already gained skills and is going out there on behalf of someone else. The knights aren't just randomly wandering around. They belong to somebody. They work for somebody. They either work for a village that the king has told them to go and take care of this village, or something like that, but they work for the king. So they're doing it on behalf of something else. And so something greater than themselves. They're living in service to, the knight does. And so again, understanding that when you're starting out in business, or you're working in a career, maybe there you have an opportunity to really focus in on something here that can be lucrative and that then can be passed on later on in your life. And so with this end card here with the 10, we also have the end of the major arcana with the world. Now this means completion, synthesis, and reward. Now with the interesting aspect here, these are the fixed signs of the zodiac, okay? And you have Taurus, you have I think is it Leo, and then Scorpio, and is it Aquarius? Is that fixed? Are those the fixed signs? Let me double check here, see if I have that right here. I always get that wrong. But in any event, they are the fixed signs of the zodiac. And I don't think I have that on here. But if they're the fixed signs of the zodiac, then you're talking about grounding. You're talking about, when it means fixed, it's very structure oriented, this is very stable type of an energy. And I don't know why Scorpio would be included in that, so maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't view Scorpio as very stable. I view Scorpio as very emotional. But but Taurus definitely is, and so's Leo. And so's Aquarius, if Aquarius is involved. But now I got to look. Now I've got to see what I've got here. Where's my... Well, we'll just do it this way. Because now I have to be absolutely sure. Fixed signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. I was right. Can you believe that? I was right. See? Well, Scorpio is very fixed in terms of their intensity, so maybe that's why they're thinking about it as fixed. But in any event, you have that here, and it's interesting that our overall numerology. This is my point here. The overall numerology is 4, and that's grounding, that's structure. Again, that's a very fixed type of a number. Stubbornness. Taurus the bull. My mother was a Taurus. Very stubborn, and so. At the end of it all, you see the lemnis gates above and below. Instead of one wand in the hand with the magician, now you have 2. And so you've achieved a certain level of balance in your life. Instead of being somebody who is scattered in your focus, you've realized that you need to be more grounded about it all. And you need to be focused on the future and focused on what you can do to manifest a positive and abundant future for yourself, your family, and for those you leave behind. And whether or not, that's actually a passage of inheritance onto your children, it could just simply be if you owned a business or you were a supervisor in a business and you had a great impact on the people who worked for you essentially, or worked under you. You've provided all of this training to them essentially that when you retire, someone else can carry on in your stead, basically, because you've taught them the things they need to know. You've helped them grow and learn and develop and become really a positive force in the business that you're either own or you're a supervisor in. But you're somebody then that's going to be passing that legacy that you've built on your own there to them as well. So this could be a variety of different ways of seeing this. It's not that necessarily you're about to hand off your inheritance to your children. It could be, though, but it's that passage of time that if you take the time to tweak how you see things now and what your focus is now, instead of being scattered and everywhere all at once, you focus in on something that is going to actually, or learn how to do that helps build your abundance, builds your future. And in the end, when you come full circle back to the idea of what foundation did I begin with, and that's where I think we dovetail in with today's numerology for the reading of 4. So I kind of like that, how that it starts out with structure with Hagalaz, and as we move on, it reinforces it with the numerology. What are you doing? What are you doing to respond to the opportunities around you in a way that you have to make a decision about? With the Knight of Swords, maybe you have to meet those challenges, straight on, head on, clear-eyed, focused on achieving a positive outcome, overcoming the challenges that you have to make or that you have to deal with, and then. And with Hagalaz, all it's saying is that there could be something, and also with Puella, there just could be something about the focus you have that's just too scattered. You're too curious about everything all at once, and you need to figure out what's going to actually benefit your future in the long run, and stay with that. You can think about those other things, and they're fun to think about, but right now you've got to really focus in and see what the new opportunities that are coming your way are. Focus in on what you need from them, decide which one you want, or if you can do them all. Maybe at different times you can set one aside or two aside and focus in on one if there's several things coming in. But the bottom line is that you can't have your focus scattered with Puella to make all of that happen. Otherwise, you miss something. If you need to really understand what the truth of a particular opportunity is, if you just give it a superficial overview, you may miss something really important here that could make or break the entire situation, and how successful you are. And so I think that's what this is saying, with a mind to the final end of it all. What is to the success of it all. I think that the 10 of Pentacles and the World card are defining that if you do focus in and you do you stay aligned with what you need to do, and you're not missing any of the details. Again, Swords is the air element. It involves all of that. That you act with the type of integrity that someone who's doing this on behalf of others would do, instead of just for themselves. Because again, the Knight is there to protect and defend a group, essentially, a town, a village, the king's kingdom, whatever it is, right? So there's that sense of doing on behalf of others as well, that there's a component to that as well. There's just some transformation that needs to happen to make that happen. Again, if you're somebody who has a kind of a superficial, scattered, curious, looking at everything, not really paying too close attention to the reality of any of it, just, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. That's not the focus that's going to get you where you need to go. You're just going to have to focus in and understand the reality of what's going on, get the details, act in a way that is not just in service to self, but in service to others, and transform your awareness in a way that invokes higher awareness, invokes the higher self, to be able to understand the entire picture of this. And when you do, the legacy you leave behind, the success you leave behind, will be felt and experienced and appreciated. And you come full circle, and you come back to the grounding of it all, and the success and the synthesis and the reward that you get by first beginning here, to respond to what the runes are trying to say here. So it's kind of cool to leave on a Thursday here. I just do this Mondays and Thursdays, so you have a few days to think about this until we meet again on Monday. But it's kind of nice to end the week with something to do with new opportunities and trying to maximize them as best you can for the future. For your future success, your future reward, understanding how it all comes together. That's what I like about the idea of synthesis with the world. It's having everything just sort of dovetail together, and the synchronicity of it all, the synthesis of it all. Just coming together, and you can look back and say, well, I made the right choices. I made the right decisions. To see things in a different way and to respond to things in a different way, and look at the success I've gotten from it all. So that's cool. Anyway, check out my blog if you would, Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you click on more below the video, it'll open up a window, and it shows you the web address there if you forget. But the forecast comes out on Sunday night, and the astrological overview also, everything comes out on Sunday nights other than the write-ups for these readings. They're out as soon as I publish. So but anyway, also the daily correspondences for work and magic will be up if you're magically inclined. It's just like a cheat sheet for each day. There's also an astrological chart as well, which includes other things on it than simply the wheel, right? The astrological wheel itself that shows your chart. There's other things on there as well that pertain to work and magic on any given day. It's nice to know what elements are strongest. It's nice to know what the hours of the day, the planetary hours table are for that day. Also where the mansion of the moon is, and the rays and the modes and all of that. And also retrograde information, out of bounds information, all of that's there as well. And so I designed the astrological chart that's there, and because I use a software where you could do that. And so I put on there all the things that really I thought pertain to understanding what astrological and elemental and energies are happening on any given day, and how that can either inform you to wait a day or two or whatever, or you can go for it, and to shore up your magic in a way that makes it really effective. So and then also there's the Exploring Tarot series that will be coming to an end this summer sometime, and then I'll start something else. Either I'll do another rune series, or I'll do maybe an herbal thing or something. But that's all coming out on Sunday nights in the midnight hour, and I guess that's it. I don't think we have anything else happening. Full moon's next week. I think it's on Thursday morning, early is when it turns full. So look for that. And I guess that's it. In any event, have a good weekend. And click subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd love you to do that. Give it a like if you liked it. If you didn't, then you don't have to give it a like. You don't have to worry about that. But anyway, that's what the YouTube algorithms like, evidently. I don't know. I don't really worry about stuff like that. But anyway, if you want to do that, you can. And then I guess come back on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.